up long. And that's the only two options there are. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So, I mean, saying they're going to anticipate, like that, you have resistance on your 3-minute chart. So 15 minutes, again, the longer time frame is the more reliable chart. You have CCI at the 100 line. If you hold support, get it bounce, you will invariably get that set up on the small time frame. And that bounce will create, with all probability, a new high.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, support line.
Right.
At the same time, the minus 103, we want to go along.
That's exactly what Denise is looking at, is the possibility. You see, because here's the 50 on the longer term, it was unable to penetrate below the plus 100 line, which coincided with my Fibonacci support. So that makes it very, very difficult for us to even think about shorting. And sure enough, we might get a slingshot here on the 14-6 combination on the 15-minute. And yes, as was just pointed out to me, the CCI was not able on the short term to penetrate the minus 100. So when we're seeing a bounce here, the likelihood, if we're looking in the direction of the longer term, is for that resistance to be broken. Very, very often, with this kind of setup on multiple time frames, you see a situation where the time frames don't seem to agree, where the longer term is showing support and the shorter term is showing resistance, for example. That's typical. We defer to the longer term, and in this case, we'd want to see that resistance broken. Now, if that support breaks instead, and we break the 100 line there, then we can start looking for shorts.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for a short. I was looking at, okay, if we're looking for longs, why wouldn't you buy on when it hit the CCI minus 100, saying, okay, since trading in this range of the CCI,
right?
It's hit support on the 15 minutes. I'm going to enter at that.
It's still not showing enough. It's not showing enough momentum in the upside direction for that. Yeah, that would.
You don't buy in retracements per se. You're looking for that.
Yes, it has to. I mean, really, for me to buy here, I'd need to see that resistance broken, too, and that would coincide with this crossing the 0 line again. Yeah.
Explain. I remember this coming up yesterday on the slingshot. You mentioned that slingshot. What is that?
Slingshot. There's materials about that on the Traders Haven site, isn't there? About what that is? Yeah, on TradersHaven.net. Slingshot is basically a 14. You can do it with any two CCIs. It can be a 50 bouncing off the 0 line, and then the 14 goes down below the 100 and back up. It looks like a slingshot, with one of them being closer to the 0 and the other one pulling back more and zinging up. The classic Woody slingshot would be a 14 just dipping below the 0 line, and the turbo, the 6, going down and up. And that's showing that the momentum it has a sudden reversal, and that's generally a very powerful trade. But we need to have the 50 in the right direction to do that, because it's more likely here. You see this? What's happening here? As long as the 50 is below 0, it's more likely that this is going to reject to the downside.
Okay, so the key that slingshot says is that the 50 has to be above.
The 50 is showing us the direction of the overall trend, yeah. And in this case, what's happening is the 3-minute trend, as is obvious in the chart, the 3-minute trend is down. But the 15-minute trend is still up. The fact that this symmetry didn't break, the symmetry is where the trend had continued before. So until that support breaks, it's still an uptrend.
So are you saying that in theory you almost have, that's what you're saying, we have a slingshot setting up?
Possible slingshot forming there with the 50 bouncing.
If the 6 crosses the 14?
Yeah, that would be a signal there. And also, of course, the 50 is above the 100 line, which we've done very, very well when we take these 100 line bounces. As soon as we have an entry signal on the shorter term, the trigger here would be this crossing above the 0 line, everything going above the 0 line, and we'd have a clear situation here too. And that we just have to confirm with Denise. Denise is running a couple other time frames, which we'll be showing tomorrow. We just had a little problem with getting her charts running for today, because she's using a different data provider and stuff.
Look, you know what, for the most, let me just answer this question. This question was asked, when can you go short? And as Mark just explained, you have the support there. You have your 100 line, the 50 at the 100 line. You can go short or start looking for shorts on your smaller time frame according to our plan once that 50 CCI crosses below the 100 line and that cluster of support breaks. Now, keep in mind, though, you'll have to contend with the next levels, so you can adjust your stops accordingly or your targets accordingly, okay? But that's what I like to see. So right now, because we have that 50 holding and we have that support holding, I am anticipating a failure of the smaller time frames short and patiently waiting for a long. Now, if I don't get it, and this is a real break and a real change in trend, I will get another opportunity. Mark will set up levels, we'll get resistance, and we'll look to short into that resistance, and we'll get another opportunity. You know, that's basically.
Yeah, because it's real. What we're looking for essentially is for the time frames to be in alignment. So we want to see it pointing short on both time frames. Otherwise, all you're going to be able to do, or if you get anything, if you don't get stopped out, all you're going to get are these little scalpettes. Yeah.
But like I said, you're still here, and you still don't have trigger on your confirmation chart. So if you were short right now, would you be pleased? You don't know exactly. That's the. This should have set up.
There's nothing wrong with scalping at all, but what we'd rather do, it suits our mentality better, is 2 or 3 or 4 trades a day where we're looking for a few points, not 20 trades with 4 ticks and 6 ticks. That's just not our methodology.
Anyway, but they didn't trigger. It's just like a little filter.
Because look at what's happening if you were short here. I mean, you wouldn't, as Denise just said, you wouldn't be happy with this situation.
Yeah. Actually, oil, it looks like it might be ready to trigger a 50 case.
Should I put it up?
No. Because we're going to get a small trigger here on this. At some point.
I meant put it up
Even
here.
when I finish my salad.
You know what we need? Pineapple.
If I could make it sound good.
And a couple of family crisis situations too. As soon as that happens, there'll be a great trade we will take.
Really quick, somebody give me a diaper. Mark will surely break out if I go to change one.
You could just throw one on your shoulder. That's going too far back.
Oh, I don't remember. It's certainly not me, because I'm way too controlling to leave my trades. You're going to take that away? You take this away?
Oh, no, that's okay. Thanks.
I'd like to stretch today. Okay, wait. Here we go. Oh, shit. Okay, so now what you have here is the support held. Your initial long trigger on the 133 is starting to fail. And we look like we could possibly get a 50-34 long. And that is already confirmed by the fact that the 500V never set up short in the first place. Okay, so we're just about there on the trigger for the 133 tick.
Okay, let me see if I have a chart that corresponds with what you're seeing. Is it similar on my 3? No. That's the euro.
You can't run any other targets on that 15-minute based on what we...
Yeah, I can.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Okay. What do you? Does my 233 look anything like your 133? That's
Your 50's on top.
yeah. It's just not scaled. Hang on a
Mine's
second.
crossing the 100 line, the 0 line like now.
No, mine is. Mine is, well, this is the 100 line here.
Where's your 0?
It's not scaled the way
Oh,
it should be.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Let me try to do that. Oh yeah, somehow that scaling got shut off.
Should that be negative 300?
Yes.
That's to help you with something.
Yeah, you know that I always do that backwards because I'm like, because the plus lines are up. You know what I'm saying?
It hasn't triggered yet, just in case anything.
There.
It hasn't triggered yet.
There's my 233.
Oh, okay. Well,
What's 233?
Yeah. So it doesn't look like yours. Mhm. All right. Well, we'll run off yours tomorrow. Okay. What I'm going to do though, in case Denise's long triggers, I'm going to put in new targets on the 15-minute retracement tool, high to low in the swing. We'll take out the retracements. We can leave in. See, I could leave in this 786 because it's resistance that hasn't been broken yet, but it's lining up so much with what I see on the 3-minute that I don't need it. It's the same level. So I'll take that out, and now we have new targets off this swing up above at 685.50 and 686.60. That's not that much room.
It's not very impressive because it's a narrow range today. But on a nice big range day, it ought to be up there 5-6 points.
Yeah, again, it's a narrow pullback, so we're not getting far targets. Your phone.
and another thing to note, if some of you are looking at the 1,000 volume, if this trade is going to set up long, what you would see is also on the 1,000, the 50 CCI would be crossing the 100 line. And that would confirm the long, more confirmation.
And again, if you are looking to the short side, and we haven't taken a trade since we've been standing up here because we're looking for the time frames to align. But yes, we did have a short trigger here on the 3-minute. This is a sling, an exact sling to the downside. That's what the problem was with looking for longs there because the 50 was on the wrong side of 0. This is a short possibility, but with the higher time frame still saying long, it could be just as minor of a decline as the prior possibility was, the cross. When the time frames actually align, which will happen sometime, it did this morning, the trade is much more substantial than fighting this kind of scalp situation. Actually, we might have a 2-step into support here. Actually, I think we are setting up a 2-step into support also. Okay, so we have.
Does that is going to break through the support on the 15.
When you look at a small time frame and you start seeing price getting caught, you ideally want to wait for one side or the other to break before you resume trading in the market. And I know that the trade, we're making it as hard as possible to enter, but that's the point. that's the thing, is you want to be picky about what you're teaching. You want to have a very strict and you know, rigid criteria for your entries.
Yeah, I didn't know, to be honest with you, I didn't understand.
Can't trust it. And that's again, and I remember when I was in town, no, I'll take this trade, I'll take that trade, it doesn't matter, you know, I was like, and you know, some days I was like hundreds of dollars, and the next day I'd be down hundreds, plus an additional hundred. You know, and it's like, it's almost like, it's like being civil, you do these moves, it's just, you know, and there are plenty of days where this just happened, and you sit, I mean, Mark and I have traded together, I'm like, so, anyway, you know, you have an email file, or, you know, so let's go out to lunch, or whatever, because not every single day is gonna be this day.
Nobody's system.
No, but when we have a trending day, we have a trending day, and we do well.
Like nothing. Is your, on my 233 looks like nothing.
I mean, if you look at the 34 EMA and the angle of it,
Yeah.
it looks like a shelf. You know what I mean? It's just flat.
You know what I always think when it looks like that? It's flat, so I can lie down and take a nap. I think he's doing, what's he doing? That he's doing wrestling and scalping for a few ticks here and there. So that's interesting. Sorry? I don't know what he's doing this minute. When I was back there a few minutes ago, he was doing Russell. I gotta blow my nose. Sorry to be boring.
Okay, here we go. Obviously, 15-minute support is holding. CCI is still above 100.
On the 15 minutes. Oh, on the,
I'm looking at Mark's chart right now. Okay? So, what we're gonna do, because all of these things are saying subtle long, we're looking at a smaller time frame. We're looking at my two trigger time frames here. We have the 133 tick about to trigger 5034 north. The 500 is already confirming, and it's confirming because it never set up that failed short. So if you had used that for short, you would have entered this because the short was confirmed. See how the 500 helps you stay out of some bad trade. What you want to see, if this triggers, and it's a trigger with some oomph behind it, your next highest time frame, 50 CCI will cross back up to the 100. So that's what we're sitting and waiting for. The worst thing that can happen to us is it doesn't set up, that 15-minute support breaks, and we start looking for shorts.
I can see where the only next time would be
Right, because I would have my 500, but once you get to my 500, 1,000 on one time. On one chart.
on one chart.
One chart. So this is what we're watching. So if, like I said, you have all these things that you want to see come together to enter the market. Support holding, CCI is up 100. Look at the trigger along here. That will push your median time frame above your That's the 14 CCI, and the bottom is the 50. 50-14-0. For example, this is a 50-14-0. 50 CCI is above 100. And this is the trigger right now, by the way, but I'm not taking.
The 50 CCI is above the 100.
Above the 0. 14 had retraced underneath the 100, signifying this pullback within the uptrend. Trend is starting to end. It crosses back up against the negative 100 and through the 0. It's like a slim strategy using the 14 and the 50. It's exactly what it is. Instead of just taking it as it crosses the 100 line, you wait for the cross to close above the 0 line. Well, what I would, if I were taking this signal, I would be waiting for this bar to close. And I would enter on the following bar. But because I'm waiting for this chart to be with this chart for that long, that's not a signal I'm looking for, because that's not as high a probability as if this were gonna set up as well.
How many more contracts is left on that 500 body bar before it closes?
You're only half on that.
Right there.
But tomorrow, like I said, we're gonna put my charts up, and Mark is gonna run the levels directly off my chart, so he can run them, we can go through them like that. It'll be much easier for you guys to grasp what I'm talking about. I just had serious data issues with my connection. Novice FT user, and I'm trying to grapple with, setting it properly so that the signal works.
So how are we doing now?
Still waiting, because we've only moved like 2 texts since you got out.
Can I take a look at your settings? Because I did change this to CCI.
It's the same thing.
Okay, so this
Same problem.
is still not official, but this is a perfect example of what a 50-14 is. And what you want to see
Let's take a look
ideally
at
is
yours.
just this smooth straight line and not any of the, I mean, yeah, you just like it smooth and continuous. And I mean, along with the opposite for sure, you'd want the 14 coming through.
Isn't that interesting? Maybe it's different e-signal servers. How about reloading your data?
Oh.
You know, maybe if you were cut off for a minute or something. It just might have a couple of closes in a different position or something.
Did you get a buy-in?
Yeah, your bars aren't
Not
printed
yet.
exactly
was wondering
like
if
mine,
It's supposed to be relative.
which could mean you're right and I'm wrong, but I
Just
did
measuring
reload the data.
price
So.
by 2 different means, being written on. So that's the reason that I watch both of them,
That's
even
better.
though they appear to be redundant. Like I said.
And Mark,
if you
there never was a
were
divergence
taking
trade today.
short,
Yeah.
You would have been starting
Well,
out.
day's not over
And
yet.
if you were using it as a confirmation, you never would have entered the short because you never got the trend. And so this is one of the incidents where it could have saved you like 4 or 5 ticks and,
What? Yeah.
Everybody's looking at that.
Yeah, I noticed. It's fine. It's not that it's, yeah, we're just waiting. Just waiting.
yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. Because like I said, that, I have it online, because that will confirm, like I said, you're looking, once you hit that support on the higher time frame, you're saying to yourself, let me look to my lower time frames and see if I can find an entry off of that support. And this is what we're doing. We're patiently waiting. And that's not to say that we're gonna get the setup or that that support's gonna hold. If it breaks,
Yeah, and then meanwhile, the 3-minute resistance is holding the market down. I mean, at
and
least,
that's why Mark was saying, sure, you ideally want your time frames to be in agreement, because here you have resistance, here you have support, and price is just stuck, and it's just ping-ponging back and forth, and you don't want to be in agreement.
as a matter of fact, this two-step is defeated now because it's zigzagging. Actually, we have two-step into resistance now, which is, I was setting the support that I set up. Well, I'll use this. Is that mine? The support that I had set up is no longer valid because it was based on a chart pattern that's been defeated. What we have, as Denise was saying, we have a disagreement between the time frames still. We have the 15-minute support. Because it's the longer time frame, it's more powerful. So we've been looking for long triggers. Meanwhile, the 3-minute resistance has been holding the market down. What we need is a trigger. We need the momentum of the market to go upwards to the point where the CCI is telling us it's going to continue that way, and that'll also coincide with that resistance being broken. Then we'll have support on the 3-minute chart. As soon as we can take out any of the swing highs, like even these over here, yeah, then I can draw support. As soon as over here, when this swing high is violated, I'll have a higher high, and I can take that high to low and project from the new high to show us the symmetry of an uptrend.
But as it stands now, you have a triple top.
Right, and notice it coincides precisely with the fib and sim resistance that's here. We have the support holding here, and we have the resistance holding here. So basically, this is saying that we're just going to bounce back and forth until one side breaks. If I wanted to be really cluttery about it, I could have these exact same support lines also on the 3-minute chart from the same swings, and you would see it visually represented here. But it's just easier to have it on separate time frames so you can get the levels of importance on it. The 15-minute is stronger. So.
What's your 380 on the 3 minutes, 350 on the top title bar on your 15-minute?
What am I using it for? Or
What are they?
well, whenever you set up a chart in Fibonacci Trader, it has 3 time frames. It always has a 3-minute, 15-minute, and 45-minute.
380, the 360 on right there, right there. And the 380
Oh,
on there.
the gain or loss for the day. This one is a continuous 24-hour contract, so it's not showing the same amount.
Okay.
This is how much it went up today in total.
All right.
Yeah.
The S&P is still down.
Is all,
380.
Really?
The S&P, they're,
Oh, let's take a look.
Day on the 3-minute chart.
which I think.
No, on all the charts.
Yeah, look at it.
That one is a
Doesn't it mean minus
350.
50, one and a half?
Yeah. Oh, that's a mess.
So you got a bearish divergence.
You look at what's going on there in the S&P.
The S&P got a bearish divergence.
S&P's down. Yeah.
Short. Sell this.
That's a mess to short.
No, I'm talking about long term.
Oh yeah, sure.
Mark, did you previously in one of these conferences take one chart, place it on there?
Yes, you get. There's an export function. Yes. Yeah, you can do that. Here we go. We're breaking that. Yeah, one of the things you can do with Fibonacci Trader is run the Fibonacci work on a longer time frame and project it to the shorter. Are you getting something? Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about this. You wanna-
Did you get it?
We are talking about it. We're waiting now. We're looking at your support. We're going to watch CCI.
CCI is above 0.
Right. Now what we're going to do on Mark's 3-minute chart here, we're going to watch CCI as it approaches the 100 line so that we can confirm follow through. So, I mean, we're not going anywhere in too much of a hurry, but we just want to keep an eye and be cognizant of our 50 at the 100 line.
Because we did trigger into a trade.
Right.
Okay.
What do you mean you did?
We're in a trade.
Because we crossed the
Are you
0.
watching?
What?
Okay, you weren't here when I said this before.
That's what.
What we did was we had support on the 15-minute chart. We looked to our lower time frame for an entry. We sat here for about 15 minutes and finally got it. Okay, so you have your long entry.
We do that.
You're watching now. Mark has, if you can see his 50 CCI, which is the top red line. You're watching it approach the 100 line, and in order to continue to hold the trade up into the target on the 15-minute, you want to see ideally that 50 CCI cross through that red line. That's the 100 line.
So even off the
But you went long when the CCI crossed 0.
Correct.
50-34, it crossed 0, and price crossed the 34 EMA.
Correct.
Both occurred, and that's the
Correct.
long trader.
That's
And you see
bond.
now, and we did get the 100-line bounce and the sling that I was talking about on the 15-minute. And now what I'm going to do is,
And that's just one thing to note. If you have, even though you don't trade a sling, let's say, and you notice it on the 15-minute, and at the same time on your smaller time frame, you're also getting a simultaneous long setup. That's something that you really want to take notice of. If you're getting simultaneous setups on different time frames, those are really the ones that you want to be in on.
Right.
okay, what I'm going to do now is just redo what's on the 3-minute so we can see the status of the trade. One thing I noticed, if we go to the highest high to the low with retracements, we're just now challenging the 786 retracement level. Usually in a low volume market, that's a more important level than when things are moving rapidly. There's a more likelihood that that'll at least stall things for a bit. Generally, once the 786 is broken, you're good to go to the targets. And we have that as resistance, and now because we took out that swing high I was pointing to before, I'm going to take that high to low and project from the new high for support. Tell that to keep live, because hopefully we're going to keep going up, and I don't want to have to keep redoing it.
automatically updated
Yes, yeah. And there's I could use this little one too, but it's going to be very, very close. It's just a tick difference. I'll leave it there because the fact that there are two that are so close are going to be a reminder to us that it's relatively strong. And we can overlay this as well. If I click the right button, we can overlay it with the retracement tool. As I was saying yesterday, I'm going to get rid of the minor retracements, the 236 and the 382, because it's a very small swing and I won't have anything major to overlap it. And I don't care about downside targets right now. I just wanted to see what we had in the way of support.
Hey, Mark, what was the previous high?
This high?
No, the previous high. Keep going left.
This
Right
one?
there. What was that one? That high?
The price, the high, 685.30.
685.
Right. So now, even if we bounce back and forth here a little bit, it's still okay as long as we don't take out this support.
Right.
Because that is what is defining this as a possible continuation of the uptrend, or the beginning of a 3-minute uptrend. If this support is broken, it blows the hypothesis of the time frames coming into alignment out of the water. So the trade is safe as long as that support is there.
Didn't you make 3 or 4 ticks there?
Yeah, but that's not what we're looking for.
What's the outcome?
We want new highs.
Okay.
Yeah, we want
And
the
we would
extensions.
like to get to, see, you have mortgage.
We,
Mark has targets already set up.
We're going for the target.
We're going for the gusto, the gold.
yeah, the targets are very similar. On basically, I used a slightly different high here for these targets, but this is the same area. It's not worth worrying about.
Transfer a meaningful line from the 15.
Oh, you right-click. Yeah, I generally don't do that because I like to have different levels of importance of the information on one chart. Like the 15-minute I know is stronger automatically, so if I put it on the 3-minute, it makes me a little cuckoo. But if you wanted to do it, you'd right-click and just choose. Well, it's not on that one. Here we go. Export. And it actually won't work on the two charts you're seeing here because the one restriction is it has to be the same symbol. And you think it's the same symbol maybe, but that's actually my Russell spot contract. And this is, Russell front month, I should say. And this is my continuous. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want one to be running a 24-hour basis and the other one is running just the pit. So you need to have, you can have 20 different charts of 20 time frames. As long as they're all the same symbol, you can export, or you can link. When you link, that means if you change it on one of the charts, it'll automatically update on the others. It's just a right-click on the level. Here's export. Export and replace would delete the old one and put in new, and link.
So you click export and then click link.
Just click export.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just
We'll send that to all charts that have the same name.
Because it seemed to me, as I remember, you used to put all of the lines in one color for a given chart.
No, I don't watch that.
no. That was Dennis. That was Dennis.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I don't like putting. I like to maintain my understanding of how important the level is by leaving it on its own time frame. Yeah, I don't use many of the multiple time frame features of the program. For me, it's about the Fibonacci tools. I do have a couple of charts. Like one thing I've been looking at. This is something I'm just experimenting with at the moment. This is a 250 volume, 250, 500, and 1,000 volume chart, and I have the 3 CCIs for each here. But what I found that was very interesting is I have the 34 EMA from each time period on the chart, and how those EMAs line up is showing me the strength of the trend. And I've noticed too that the crossover that'll occur, even though that's something you can only do with this program, is they're 34 EMA. They're all 34 EMAs from different time frames. So as long as they're in alignment that way, it's another reminder to me that we really should only be looking at longs. But I don't show that to many people because I don't have rules about it quantified yet. It's really just something I'm toying with.
And I was too ready to just keep that back.
I'll put it back.
Since he's talking about it, and I've done a lot of work on the crossovers on this and the 34 EMAs. When that first pullback,
Here,
see that first
this dip.
Yeah.
came through, that usually is a very strong, if you've got something else to go with that, that's a very strong long sequence right there. Because you had the crossovers here, well, actually, this is not quite crossed, so we just have to.
Well, but notice how it coincided with the 50-34 triggers,
Yeah.
too.
But if you have something else to go with that, that's, I want to work on this. That's very, very good.
On a volume chart.
Yeah,
So
I
you
do
weren't actually
volume
able to
or
take that,
minute
right?
chart or,
Doesn't matter, whatever it is.
yeah, just however you got it set up.
said you weren't actually able to take that. There's too much going on. So back to your seats, children.
Now, hey, Mark, the other thing is, this is really, if you can get this up a couple of ticks, get that high, this is really set up for a huge divergence trade.
Okay.
If it turns
Well,
around.
let's take a look at your chart.
You can see that, look at the.
Yeah,
Just take it back down again.
Just gonna look for a second. Okay.
Here you go. You're starting to get price moving. Your 50 CCI is coming up to the 100 line. You're nearing your target area on the 15-minute. We've broken through. Did we break through the first target on the 15-minute?
No.
Okay.
Targets are here.
It's basically T1 on the 3-minute is just a few ticks away. If we can get the 50 CCI to cross the 100, I don't anticipate any problems actually getting there. So right now, what I would be doing is waiting for that cross. If there's any sign that the CCI will go flat before crossing, I would start adjusting my stop, either locking in some profit or bringing it to break even +1.
Where do you think entry was there?
I'm sorry, what?
Where do you think entry was there?
It was 83.60.
Okay.
Nice trade.
But you know how long you waited for it? That's the thing. We waited all
I'm just
afternoon.
waiting.
Okay.
I'm just waiting.
That 100 line is providing some resistance.
Did we take out that high?
No.
The previous high
No,
yet?
no.
In essence, you've almost got a double.
Okay, you
top
see
there.
the CCI is retreating from the 100 line, which causes me some concern. As I said, you would lock in some profit, or at least at the very least set your stop at break even 1.
Look at
Yours? Yeah, I just didn't want to interrupt her. That's the wrong one.
Exactly.
Oh, maybe I closed it accidentally. Yeah, I'll have to reopen it. There it is.
Also, if you look over at the 15-minute chart, you'll see that the 50 CCI is hooking up over the 100 line, so I'm considering that right now to be a 100 line bounce. So at some point, I am expecting to break the high and hit at least the second target on the 15-minute chart.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Now that's John's chart.
Yeah. See if it starts coming down. So the first thing we look for is for the dot. Yeah, they come out of there. Okay. The second thing we're looking for is the first bar that closes. This step.
Right. I got that. Okay. Yeah, we'll go, if it happens, we'll go over it. Yeah, I think it might be better.
Yeah, because you can do this after the market closes.
Yeah, it's
So
gonna
then
be better.
we'll sit back down so that, and we'll do this after the market closes.
like a flash
Yeah.
You know what the problem was, is that
Some people,
her feed being a little different, she
Oh,
was
I
seeing
know.
things on her CCI that I couldn't show.
right.
So
Well,
tomorrow
can
we're
we-
gonna,
tomorrow we
we're
can
gonna
do
do
that
everything off her.
We're gonna actually,
Yeah,
we're gonna put my charts up tomorrow on the
Yeah.
T,
That's
and
a
he's
good
gonna
idea.
draw the lines on my chart, and I'll just stand with the pointer, and
that's a good idea.
aren't we smart?
Can I bring you some?
No, nothing, sweetie.
You know what I gotta do too then?
Can I bring you some?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
No, you don't.
Give it a shot. Very good.
Okay.
I'm really soft spoken. Thanks.
Excuse me.
Did you get in? Oh, good, we're getting to targets. Okay, we're getting to targets.
Okay. Now, those of you who are watching this trade will see that the CCI is crossed up through the 100 line. We're hitting the first target. According to CCI, and I'm not saying this is the end all, what I do is once we're hitting that target, I'm looking for a CCI-based reason to determine whether or not I'm going to take all my contracts off there, take one off there, and leave a runner on for the next target. From what I see, since we're pointing straight up and it looks like it was a healthy cross through, I will take a T1 and hold on for the next target. My exit on the runner would be is if the CCI right now came and started retracing back down through the plus 100, then I would look to exit and then look for another entry to get back long. But I hope that you guys were able to see why we didn't take the short that's set up initially and why we preferred to wait for the long, because just waiting for the long gave us a better profit opportunity. So do you guys see the logic behind that now? I mean, so it looked like we were sitting here very bored for a while, but it's just an exercise in patience.
Right, because once the time frames went into alignment, that's what we were looking for. That resistance was taken out, and we had CCI in the same direction on both charts. In both cases, the Fibonacci work helped us to see exactly what the parameters were of the support and resistance in both time frames. So when we had a clear path, meaning the chart, the time frames aligned, and a trigger, the CCI crossing 0, with the 34 EMA also being crossed, that was our entry. And I think you finally managed to take it.
And I just wanted to mention one thing. When I said before that the 15-minute 50 CCI was getting a 100-line bounce and that I expected the new high, that's just something to kind of play around with and notice. The bounces normally do bring a new high. I don't know to what degree. I'd have to do more research on seeing how much of a new high we get. But it is also for you guys who scalp and are a little bit more aggressive minded, you can add one in on that and just take it off at the new high. You can get yourself an extra 5 or 6 ticks if that's in your plan. That's a very good place to add in to if you're already in a position.
And again, just like with before, I'm fine with maintaining this long as we don't break the support symmetry on this 3-minute chart, because if we break that, it means the concept of an uptrend has been challenged severely. As long as that holds and we keep bouncing off of it, it means the rhythm of the uptrend is continuing. And we don't have quite enough information here on the 15-minute to try for additional timing, because the last swing up was only a few bars and each other swing up was several more bars than that. So it's just going to give us kind of gibberish at the moment. I will try, though, to see if we get some timing into the future a little bit. And let's see. Because basically when we make new highs into extensions on the longer term, I do want to see if there's a coinciding timing factor. Now, any one of these levels is not enough for me unless it's a square possibility, and it really, the square was violated. It held us back for a long time. It brought us back down to that support, but we finally broke it. But just based the regular timing connecting highs to lows and lows to highs, it's not enough to just have one level. The 786 is a decent standalone timing factor, but I want to see a confluence. So now I'm just connecting a couple of highs to highs. This is already pointing at tomorrow morning. I really want to know what's going to happen now. Let's try go to low here. Okay, that's broken. So you did actually manage to get in. Yeah. No, I don't think we're going to have timing at the moment, fortunately. I wouldn't use the 3.2. I'm sorry?
If we can clear that 1618, then we should have some open space for a pretty good run then.
Well, I would switch. We also have runs, things I can take off here. This obviously is very high, but let's see if I take, if we have any retracements in the way. No, we've broken the retracements. Yeah, it is pretty clear. I mean, what I would have to do is switch to a continuous 45-minute, a longer time frame, and see if I can find any resistance in that case. I say continuous because this is, since we're so close to roll, my data on the front month is spotty. And I'm not even going to bother with a 3-point tool here because, again, I can see if we're going to try to measure this rally, it's only 3 bars, and I don't see other 3-bar rallies to compare it to.
You scheduled a seminar for the last week in September next year. You passed this here.
Well, actually, I heard from a couple of sources that astrologically speaking, not that I know anything about that, but tomorrow is supposed to be a very high activity, good trading day. So, which coincides with what's going on with the news too. I mean, there was no news today. I mean, reports, and there's a whole slew of them tomorrow morning. Yes. Sure. Yeah, actually, we took out some of the resistance here. I'd run that earlier. And we're just taking a look at bonds real quick. And we have this one here and this one here. Set these for live.
Yes. Yes, I'm looking right. What I'm watching right now is, see the 3-minute, and also on my 133 tick, I'm watching the 50 CCI as it's hooking towards the 100 line. In order to stay in, that would have to bounce. And if it doesn't bounce, then it's an exit. We wait for a pullback and re-enter again.
Does that look like yours?
Yeah. Do a retracement for,
Resistance?
yeah, that's what yeah, that's what
Yeah, I took this one and this one. You could do this one and see and get you just get extensions up here though. Okay. You're welcome. That's our friend Sam, who's learning all this methodology himself and making a mint on bonds. And let's see. I could try the 3-point tool on this larger rally. Here, low to high from low. And
Okay, it looks to me like CCI is trying to hook back up, so there was just a little temporary pause and pullback. If we can get up at least to the next high, we should surpass that target, that first target, and be on our way to the next target, which is at 686.6.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if I did this right.
Doesn't look like we're going to have a divergence either.
Yes, on the 15-minute as well. It's a target, but it's a target that may indeed cause a pause. So there's
This
resistance.
is what I said again. When you're hitting a resistance area and you're in a trade, you want to look at your CCI to kind of determine or try to help you figure out if that resistance is going to be the end of the move, a pause, or you feel confident enough in your CCI to hold for the next level. And being that we had a retracement towards the 100 line and it hooked back up, giving us, I mean, it's a little bit far away from 100 to call it a 100-line bounce, but being that it's hooked up with such a point and conviction, it gives me the confidence that with the runner, since we've already secured our first target, we can afford the luxury of trying to hold for that next target.
And by the way, you were mentioning about wouldn't it be a clear path if that breaks? It'll be a clear path temporarily, but as soon as we get another swing down, we'll have new extensions.
Right.
So.
On the 15.
Right. Well, on the 15 as well. Yeah.
15-minute. When it's clean air, it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you got your bounce. And that was a nice 15-minute sling. How you doing?
Am I doing? It's not over. After that, we're showing somebody on one machine.
Fibonacci for the Active Trader. Fibonacci for the Active Trader by Derek, D-E-R-R-I-K. Hobbs, H-O-B-B-S. H-O-B-B-S. It's an excellent book on this sort of work for people who are just getting into it. You know, if you subscribe to any of the newsletters from trading markets, even just their mailings, every once in a while they have a tremendous sale. It's like usually $50. I think the last time I got a copy was like $17 because they have this tremendous sale like every couple of months. Trading markets, tradingmarkets.com. They have a store, an online bookstore.
I saw that they were talking about that last week. eBay bought Sky.
Oh, really?
There goes the end of free Skype.
Here we are trying to test that previous swing high at 685.80 is what we need to break, and I'll be a lot happier once we get past that.
And because we have a new swing here, I have to add this now to our support. Again, of course, it's high to low using the expansion tool, rejected from the new high, and you see it staying just about exactly where our former sim was, because of course that's where it bounced. So it's repeating. Okay. So I added that level, and it just reinforces the idea that that's going to maintain.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Okay, there you go. You broke that 685.90, 685.80. We're on to hopefully that 686.6. We're only 5 ticks away. And maybe Mark will be kind enough to give us some new targets. An option here, if you don't want to use the 100 line now and you want to start locking in a little bit more profit, you would start looking at where he's drawing his new support lines and use a violation of that as your stop for your runner.
Yeah, that's an excellent strategy for a runner would be. That's an excellent strategy for a runner for stop, because that way, if you put it right behind the symmetry, it's going to keep you in as long as the trend maintains. So you don't run the risk of missing a good move, because it's only going to stop you out when the symmetry breaks, meaning that the concept of the trend again has been challenged. And if we do indeed take out this target, this will be a time when what I would have to do is edit this retracement series, and I would turn on my 2.618 as an additional extension and target. I rarely use that. That means the market is extremely extended. In relation to this as a high, that would be an extreme move. Basically, anything past the 1.618 is an extreme move. What's more likely to occur is either contact with that and a pullback, allowing me to then do another sequence of 1.272s and 1.618s, or it'll at least just do something right around there. Gives us an idea if it gets up to that. So I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I'm going to take this off for now.
Also, one thing just to note, and I'm just noting it for just the sake of doing so, as we're coming into the last target on the 15-minute, just notice on your 50 CCI that there is a possible divergence starting to form. And that goes again back to what we were saying about the 50 CCI and divergences against resistance, timing highs, lows, things like that. So that's it's not formed yet, but it's just something that you might want to start watching if you were long and considering whether or not you should take your runner off at that target should we get there. The divergence would, for me, would be a very good motivation to do so.
Can you point out the divergence?
Yep. Am I going to mess up the... Okay. my, here's your CCI. Price on this pulse up went here. On the next pulse up, CCI made a lower high, but price made a higher high.
That's right.
That's the divergence. That's a negative divergence. And typically, when you come up against a negative divergence, as I said, against higher time frame resistance, and you're kind of not sure if you should be taking off your runner at that area, if you see a divergence, that should pretty much make up your mind for you, because 9 times out of 10, that divergence will at the very least, put a stop to the trend, and you'll get either a dead market or a significant pullback that you probably wish you would have gotten out of.
You also have a 14 period ghost on the 3 minute, by the way. But it has a divergence. No, but it's a divergence also.
Which one?
14 period of CCI. It hasn't triggered yet. No. It's a head and shoulders pattern on the CCI. See the 2 little shoulders and the head. Well, it's a possibility, particularly because it also coincides with a divergence here. I don't look at divergences on the 14 period though. It's just too fast. You get them all the time. I was just noting that for the people who follow Woody.
The divergences on the 50 happen real infrequently. So unlike a 14 where you'll get 2 and 3 and 4 divergences and price doesn't seem to really care. On the 50 they happen less frequently. Obviously it's a much longer CCI, but it's really, I can't stress enough, it's something to really take notice of. And an FT has that automatic divergence tool. So you don't even have to watch them. You can just, the FT, that's what I was saying. You can just click it on and bing, bang, boom, it'll paint your divergences for you, so you don't even have to strain watching for them.
Well, I don't have it configured. It's going to find too many, but I'll.
You have to configure it how you like it to look, because it'll plot divergences on CCI
Yeah,
and price.
I can do it though. Yeah, no, I mean, you can. Where's my? Here. No. I just had to. Here, I'll just take this divergences parameters. I don't want the arrows. I'll show them the indicator.
We'll see if it'll even pick that up.
I probably made it too weak. Found a couple other ones. I probably chose the wrong one because I haven't used it. It looks like it's funny.
Anybody who's interested in getting that set up, we can get that set up.
Do you use hidden too?
Not really.
Can Perry show us how to do that?
Yeah, I'm sure. No, it works very, very well. I've seen it. I just have no idea how to use it because I just spot them visually. To me, if it doesn't jump out at you, it's not worth looking at anyway.
Well, I'll just say, this is what I was saying before. I'm going to typically hold my runner for the target. And once I start getting to the target, I'm going to look at CCI and I'm going to decide, is there anything besides this target that's giving me a clue to get out? Or is my CCI telling me that I can try and hold on and get the next target up? The divergence would be a motivator for me to just say, okay, the trade's done, and I'm satisfied with what I've earned. I've gotten to the second level, and that was a good trade, and it was worth, the wait.
Now, on the shorter term, at least on the 3 minute that I have, the 50 is still staying above the 100 line, which is nice.
Also, too, if you're not a divergence fan and you want to you want this to be your day-making trade, Mark has just drawn in support on his 3 minute chart. So even though the trade was kind of based off the longer time frame, you can follow it and run your stop, trail your stop based on the smaller time frame support. So if the cluster right there breaks, which is around 685,
10, and 20, yeah.
So if you get a break of 685.10, or actually 685 even, That's it.
Then the rhythm of the trend is broken.
You know, and so
Actually,
on.
yeah.
If it holds, and we break the next level, he'll be able to add in more support.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to point out, I should have mentioned this yesterday actually, this stuff can seem really complicated. If you start to run with it and work with it, it becomes second nature after a while. But if you want to start somewhere, take it step by step, or if you only want to do one thing from everything I've shown you, just do the symmetry, the 100% projections. You can use that for support and resistance for entries, and you can use it for placing your stops. And with Fibonacci Trader, you can have it automatically update. So all you have to do is learn to take those corrective moves and project from the new high or low. And go ahead.
Okay, so now here you are. You're coming onto the 3-minute support. Your 50 CCI is coincidentally at the 100 line. So you have two motivators to prompt you to exit your trade, which would be a break of that final area of support, because we just broke a couple of levels and we're still holding the 685.10. If the 685.10 broke, more than likely the 50 CCI would cross back down through the plus 100, and then the trade is officially over.
Yeah, you really have to look, once you hit the 1.272 target, you really have to start looking for any potential reason. You don't have to get scared and jump out of the trade, but anything that may be telling you that it's time to exit. We didn't really break that support sim yet, but if we break the support sim, as Denise said, that'll break the 100 line also.
We haven't broken the 100 line.
Yeah.
So right now we're tightening up, and that's what we're watching for, because in our trading plan, it tells us that if it breaks, we're out. Oh. I need to get like one of those regular mics that I can just not...
Well, I'll give you this one.
But I don't compete with
It has an off switch. You mean you don't want to pull Terry? Sorry, a crown? I don't see a crown. You mean a crown just in this pattern here? A crown short? Yeah. But what would you use as the low? That low, that would not have gone down to the 1.272 though. I don't. I needed to quite make it for a crown. I've seen so many crowns that almost, do it. And let's take a look how far it was. Yeah, it's too small for me, and it didn't even make it. No. Now it might. Let's see if it makes it down there on the next. If it breaks that. You called? Oh, let's get her to change it. We can have them adjust it. Yeah. Sure. Where did that come from? Yeah. That is right there. If you select the arrow tool, any level that you have on the chart, if you just click on that, it'll show you where it was from. You're welcome. And also, you can adjust them, too. If you chose the wrong high, you can then just grab this and move it by clicking on it.
Okay, again, you see that the 50s decided to hold the 100 line, and Price has decided to hold that support. So with any luck, we can get a new swing high and add in some more support to trail our stop. Yeah.
Well, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was only because I get so caught up in talking that I don't adjust. I did not. And then you heard the bam bam. Yeah,
Yes.
That was one trade. The buzzer, it automatically trails my stop, but I have to update it. And if I'm busy doing something, if it hits the price, it'll just take me out. So yes, I am out. But what I'm trying to say here is that there was no other reason other than carelessness to exit the trade. And this is what
This is an entry
the
here.
divergence still has not formed. And on our smaller time frame where we were going to place our stop, which was under that cluster of support, the last level held coinciding with the 50 holding the 100 line. So we're still in, and what we're looking for now, because we're getting another hook from that 100 line, we're looking for a new high, and we're looking for Mark to be able to draw in some more support so that we can adjust our stop up to the next level of support.
And actually, off this minor 3-minute swing, I again can do the extensions. Oh, okay. I can do the extensions again, high to low, take out the retracements, and we can see that we do have a slightly closer 1.272 target here now from the most recent swing. When you have this kind of thing overlapping, I think something's going wrong with the mic. Yeah, oh, that's true.
Yeah. Batteries probably, yeah. Got one more battery.
Oh, they don't press that one. Yeah, when you have overlaps of extensions, here you go. Look at the trade. It's good. That last support level actually for many people would have been an entry too, because you had this nice ZLR on the 14, you had the 100-line bounce on the 50. This was almost a slingshot on the 14-6 combo actually, and it was right to the tick against the support. But what I was saying is when you have an overlap like this, extensions from different swings landing in the same area, it's a lot stronger. So we really want to pay attention to what's going on up here. Got the whole day tomorrow, and we got hot comp.
You can arrange a skiing trade along weekend. We'll be there.
Oh, I'll just stay in the lodge the whole time because I would end up with broken everything.
I have a free bed, and I'm only 5 minutes away from here.
So you see though how it was worth waiting. I mean, instead of how many points if we had taken the initial entry, we'd already be up like what, 2.5 points. So we sat around. Right, we sat around and we complained about how bored we were for 45 minutes, and we nibbled on overly onion salad, and the upshot is we avoided the trades that essentially went nowhere, because when you, all right, 4 ticks, 6 ticks is fine, but slippage, commission, you know, and so on. We waited until the time frames aligned and got a good trade.
Hey, let's see what we got here. Did you put it? So you put in a new level of support?
No, that was actually.
No, the 3 wasn't there. It was a 10. It was 6.85, 10. Or are you not finished?
No, it's automatically updated.
Oh, that's right. Because we have a nifty auto update.
And
feature.
now, but you see this new swing into that last support is allowing me again to project, and you see it overlaps again. This is telling us that our concept of what the rhythm of the trend is valid. So again, we would not want to see this stuff violated if we're going to stay in our longs. And I'm looking askance here a bit because actually our 15-minute divergence on the 50 CCI is still there and even a little stronger. And we may be seeing the same thing on the 3-minute, and I have these overlapping extensions now. So that's saying based on a couple of different swings, they should terminate there. So it doesn't mean get out of the trade, it means watch for any potential reason to get out of the trade. Sorry? People have been smacking my hand here though. Yeah.
It doesn't do everything automatically for you?
Yeah, it does everything. I use Maven, and but it doesn't take me out automatically. I don't know. No, mine will if I wanted to, but you're saying.
Mine has to be set automatically. Remember when I was at your house and I did that swing and I didn't
Right.
move it fast enough and it took me out?
Right.
If you don't constantly move it,
Why it doesn't just trail automatically?
no.
Oh,
I mean, in mine, I
Maven
don't
does.
have that
Maven
feature
does.
set because I like to control it.
Newer version does have automatic payment stops.
I did. Yeah, I use that all the time. When I get in, I have my first target.
Bracket trader, you have to pick how many ticks you want to trail by, hit the tighten stop.
Oh, look what's going on here.
Yay! There you go, guys.
Okay, we're getting all the way up here. Now, did you get back in?
No, that was my mistake.
Oh.
But,
See, I would have been scared out. I would have done that. I would have
but why? Tell me why. Tell me why you were just scared out.
agreed. In one word, agreed.
No.
I've got a problem.
But let's
Okay, now I have to put that 2618 up as a possible target. Again, I don't normally have that on. I'm going to shut off everything else because it's been broken. This is the retracement tool, and what I'm looking for is the extension of 2.618 as the next target. If we get a swing back down first, I will be able to do the high to low into that swing and have extensions that are closer. But just in case this skyrockets, we want to have another target in place already. Yeah. All right.
What Mark said about divergence, what both said about divergence, because this approach had a double target, and that was 618. That was
Right,
Yeah, but
but in
wait.
fairness, I was noting
my mic. I was noting the possibility of the divergence and just getting you to key in. But as you can see, because the CCI is still heading up, that's not official divergence yet. You understand what I'm saying? And plus two, you want to take, I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but you want to take that, ooh, I have a profit mentality out of the equation. And this goes back to why I said having a written plan based on entries and exits will help you take that mentality out of what you're doing, because that the profit mentality, it doesn't have a place. You want to trade your plan and trade it well. And CCI and symmetry has not told you to get out of this trade.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is if the targets, if what we're showing you, if the target is what would have said it's time to get out, we also showed you the flip side, which is the reason to stay in wasn't broken. So you're choosing to look at the part to get scared about. It's doable.
Like I said, we've all started in that place. That's not, you're not in a unique place. You know, if you never experienced this, there would be something wrong. So don't feel that, oh, you're going to do it, because you have already done it. You know, making mistakes and not trusting myself or thinking that, you know, what's happening, let me take it now. And, you know, we're more willing to hold on to a loss than to hold on to a winner. You know, and so what we need to do is, and that's why we say, by having a written trading plan, you take that guesswork out. Because when you're in a trade like this, the last thing you need to do is be wondering, should I get out? Well, is this, if you have a defined exit criteria, has it been met? No. Has it been met? No. Has it been met? I need to moving to stop, moving to stop. And that is what is going to propel you to being consistent, because you're going to have, you know, your days where you have these little 4 ticks, 5 ticks, and people say, I'm ready to trade and I'll come out with 5-point winners and then have a 4-tick loser. That is what's going to help you through the days where the market's bad or the market you don't trade in or whatever. And that's what's going to build the confidence. You have to come up with a plan that's going to allow your runners, your winners to go. Yes, I do have my trading plan on the computer, and I'm perfectly happy to share it with you. But I will not share my trading plan with anybody until. Oh yeah, the outline I will give you 100%.
What I was gonna say is,
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I can. Yeah, sure. Give it to me right here. I will share my plans with anybody who wants it. I will not share it until you've written your own. Because I don't want you to take my plan, regurgitate it, and put your name on it, because you can't trade like me. Because you're not, you know what I mean? So no, but your plan has to be done with your own personality, so I don't want you to be all subjective by giving you mine and going, oh yeah, that sounds right. And then when it comes down to the trade, like, you can't do this, you know? I will share my plan right now. And then, you know, when it's in the plan, I'll share mine with you, and you can. Not a problem. Not a problem. I'll open people's plans and see if I can offer some, you know, insight or whatever.
Did you put your email address out to anybody, or you?
Yeah.
Or did you publish it? Do you ever,
No, I'm up.
I can get some people
All these.
in Vancouver, did you travel up there?
That's 15-minute message.
Sorry? Where's you from?
Don't hold that against us.
That's on the West Coast. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, I
Well, send me your plan, and you know, if I'm on the phone, I'll tell you. That's not trade. I want you to teach me how to trade. And I'm like, well, the only way that I'm gonna know where to begin is if I can see the first one.
I'll be right back. Entertain.
And if you don't have a plan, like my friend said, I have a mental call.
But that way, see, it'll be there when I go. It'll be there when I get home tonight and I can have a quick look at it.